Hi guys, and welcome to a coffee chat. I'm Dr. Boomer Brown with Doing Good at Work. Well, in today's preamble, the little writing before the video, I shared that I think everyone wants to be effective in how they live their life. Effective in their personal life, effective in their family life, effective in their work life. Wherever they are, they want to be effective. I want to be effective, and I think you do too. The question is what does being effective mean? Well, it means that we work in such a way, we live in such a way, we act in such a way that it helps us to become successful in what we would like the outcome to be. What the intended outcome is. We want to live in such a way effectively so that we will be able to achieve that. And as I shared with you, I think there's some principles that we all can learn and we can grow into and we can act upon every day, whether it's in our personal life, our family life, or our work life, so that we can be effective. The tool that I'm using, I've drawn it on the whiteboard behind us, is the diagram that outlines the 7 habits of highly effective people. Well, this is a book. It's been out for a while. Its author is Stephen R. Covey. He has a son by the same name, but a middle initial that's different. But Stephen R. Covey wrote the 7 habits of highly effective people. And what I'd like to do today is to take you through the diagram here a little bit and help you to understand it. And then each coffee chat for a few weeks, we're going to break down each one of the 7 habits. So when we look at the diagram, I want you to understand this about the 7 habits first. I want you to understand that we all begin life in a form of dependence. We are dependent. You know, if you're a child, you're dependent on your parents. You're dependent on someone to feed you, someone to clothe you, someone to provide housing. You begin as a dependent. And you begin that way in any relationship, dependent upon someone else. But the goal is to grow and to move toward becoming this word. I think we all know what this is. We want to become independent. We want to become independent. And we move toward that every day. We've always heard that children should move toward where they're independent, they're living on their own, they're able to afford their lifestyle, to provide their own living and food and have a job. We're moving from being dependent to independent. But it doesn't stop there. The model says that the highest level of effectiveness in human relationships and growing is to move to way up here, interdependent. We need each other. We need each other in all of our relationships. So interdependent, dependent upon one another, comes out of learning to be independent, but starting by being dependent. That's how we progress through the model here. And again, this is referred to as the continuum of the 7 habits of highly effective people. So once we know that we're moving from dependent to independent to interdependent, we can then see where this starts. Well, this starts in the private. It starts in the private sector, inside you, and the private victory. How do you get victory in the private zone? Well, this is where we get into the habits themselves. The first habit is to be proactive. Okay, and then the second habit is to begin with the end in mind. And then we go to the third habit, which is putting first things first. Okay, well, once we are able to move from dependent through private victory by exercising these principles in the private, we then can start moving beyond independence to interdependence. And this happens in the public space. This is a public victory. This is where you're dealing with others. You're dealing with yourself down here in this hemisphere. You're dealing with others in this hemisphere. So this is where you begin with habit number 4, which is, to think win-win. It's not win-lose or lose-win. It's to think win-win. Here's where we begin with understanding others before you are understood. That's habit number 5. And then habit 6 is synergy. Synergizing, putting it all together. And, it'd be nice if it would all stay in its nice functional pieces and work so easy, but you have to keep revisiting. So the 7th habit is this outside ring, which is referred to as sharpening the saw. This is the 7 habits that help us progress from where we're dependent to independent to interdependence. And we achieve private victories and public victories, and we grow in the process of exercising the 7 habits. That's just a quick overview of the 7 habits of highly effective people. I hope you will come back each coffee chat for the next few weeks, and I'm going to break down each one of the habits, and we're going to help you to learn how to apply this model in your life. Because as I started with, I think you want to be effective, and so do I. Well, I hope to see you next week on the Coffee Chat.